the PlayStation 5 released a whole year ago, and I absolutely love the console. So in this video, I just want to have a little chat about it. So here is the absolute monstrosity of a console. It weighs nearly 5 kilos, and the design was quite controversial when it first came out. There you go. I'm sure you all know what a PlayStation 5 looks like, but there I'm trying to get it in frame. I can't because it's so big. But basically, the console was quite controversial, the design of it. I personally love it because I forget who said it, but I saw it on a podcast and they said when it comes to like a basic console, it's very easy to fit it into anything and it will look okay. But with something like the PlayStation, if you fit it into the right setup, it will look amazing. Because I have the PlayStation 5, which is black and white, the Xbox Series S, which is black and white, and the Switch OLED, which is black and white, and they all just meld perfectly together. I know a lot of people had issues getting these, but luckily over here in Ireland, GameStop lets you pre-order before the price comes out, so I managed to get one at launch. It was still quite an ordeal because I wasn't sure if I was getting it. Emails were a bit ropey, things like that, and then obviously the lockdown, so it had to get delivered even though GameStop is literally 2 seconds away from me. I remember waking up that day and I was like a kid on Christmas. Me and my dog were like looking out the window just waiting for the delivery man. And at one stage there was a knock on the door. I opened the door. It wasn't the delivery man. It was just some crap for my sister. But then eventually heard the knock on the door and I saw a man walk up with a big box on his shoulder like this. Because the thing is so heavy. He dropped it. Well, he didn't actually drop it, but he dropped it at my feet. I opened it and I was absolutely over the moon. Now, the launch titles for me personally were very good. So, I really like Spider-Man PS4, and then Miles Morales came out. And Miles Morales was a more condensed journey, which if you know me, I prefer condensed games that don't do too much. So that really suited me down to the ground. Obviously, if you've watched my videos, Astrobot, that's Arlo in the background, sorry, he's going to be annoying me the whole video. But Astrobot on PlayStation 4 or PSVR was my favourite PlayStation 4 exclusive. So obviously, I was absolutely over the moon when they decided that they were going to give a pack-in title with Astrobot or Astro's Playroom. And that game is absolutely fantastic. And the only bad thing about it is that it's not long enough and I really hope that they make a full game. On top of that, we have Bugsnax, which was just kind of a meme. I was really looking forward to it, and Bugsnax song was actually in my Spotify most played of last year. But it just didn't click with me. There was parts of it that I liked, but I never ended up finishing it. And then one surprise hit was the Pathless. That game is phenomenal. It really reminded me of Breath of the Wild, but really small. As I said, I like condensed journeys, and that was really condensed, and the movement system was fantastic. And if you haven't played that, then go play it. And then we have Demon's Souls, which is Demon's Souls. The game looks fantastic, plays fantastic. I absolutely adore that game. And then we have Sackboy: A Big Adventure. When I played it, I really loved it, and there's a few memorable levels, but the longer I go on, the less I think about it. So I think that goes to show how like kind of unmemorable of an experience it was. So it was a really strong launch lineup. If you look up the launch lineup of any other console, I'm pretty sure the PlayStation 5 probably has the best. And that's not even including the games that came out after. So I have a very small physical collection thanks to the coronavirus, because just getting physical games was a bit of a pain. So we have Returnal. So this year has been an amazing year for games for me. Mostly because I'm a massive Housemarque fan, I'm a massive Ratchet & Clank fan. So having them two games together really sold me on the PlayStation 5. On top of that, if anyone's been following the channel, obviously I did the Ratchet & Clank review for Game Explain. It was my first like official big boy review. I got the game early. So it's a nice moment. It's like a milestone in my little YouTube journey so far. So obviously the PlayStation 5 Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart will always hold a very special place in my heart. On top of that, here's my other physical games. We have Outriders, which is a really fun game. It's obviously very flawed and very buggy, but I really enjoyed it. I just got COD Vanguard, which the multiplayer is really fun. Campaign is crap because it has 75 FOV. You can't change the FOV. Riders Republic, which I will probably trade in soon. I think I've had enough of it. It's a fun game, but it just didn't keep my attention. So there's all my physical games, so we don't really have that many. But on top of that, we have things like Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good as I was expecting it to be. It was still a really good game. I'd still recommend it, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Now I'm reading off a list here. We have Death Stranding, which I reviewed for Game Explain. That kind of sold the game, playing it at 60 FPS with the haptics. It made it a way better experience. I got to experience Borderlands 3 the way it probably should have released, because Borderlands 3 on the PlayStation 4 just wasn't a good experience at all. On top of that, you have like 60 FPS upgrades for Horizon Zero Dawn, which I'm not really a big fan of. God of War, haven't played that, but obviously God of War and 60 FPS is going to be amazing. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, which was feckin' brilliant. Obviously I did videos for Game Explain on that. And then you have things like Ratchet 2016, which in 60 FPS, no brainer, amazing. And one final game that I want to talk about, again, was in 60 FPS, was Immortals Phoenix Rising. I actually didn't get to talk about it on the channel, but that's one of my favourite open world games. It's really like, it's like if Ubisoft made a Breath of the Wild. So, it's not always good. Obviously, the UI at the start was really bad. The amount of clicks that you had to do to turn it off, and I'm just, even to this day, I'm still a bit confused on it. I understand how to do things, but it is quite cumbersome. They have released a few updates, like changing things on your hotbar menu, so you don't have to do as many presses to turn it off. But even still, it is quite cumbersome. Like, getting into your trophies is annoying, like getting into your settings. And I think they really nailed the PS4 UI, and I don't know why they didn't just stick with something that is very similar, so then it would feel really good. I know some people would prefer like a brand new UI so it feels new, but for me personally, if they just kept the PS4 and maybe just made it look a bit fancier, then I would have been really happy with that. Now, we can't talk about the PlayStation 5 without talking about the DualSense. And yes, I have the red DualSense. Kinda wish I got the black one, but the red one is still pretty nice. So, well, reddy, pink, purple, whatever colour you want to call it. But obviously this was a massive selling point, and games like Astro's Playroom and all that, they really sold the point. But one game, and I made a video on it once again, was Dirt 5. I'm not like a massive racing fan. I do like racing games, and I'd say I know nothing about the inner workings of a car, but I'd say I like and know enough about cars, like more than your average bear. Not the inner workings of them, but I appreciate cars. So like, I've always played a few racing games, but then I played Dirt 5. And being able to play it with a DualSense is absolutely phenomenal. I wish more people were talking about it, because you could really feel the difference in the surface that you were driving on. Like, if it was snow, it was like a low rumble, or if it was like a dirt track, it was like really hard. So I know racing fans love to talk about their steering wheels that cost 600 quid and they have a feckin' gear stick and clutches and everything. But I think for your average consumer person, the DualSense really makes driving feel amazing, and I can't wait to see what Polyphony do with Gran Turismo 7. For me personally, the biggest selling point of the PlayStation 5 is that the standard is 60 FPS. So from around 2010 to 2015, I was a massive PC gamer. I didn't have a PlayStation 3, didn't have a PlayStation 4. I got a PlayStation 4 in 2015, I think. But for those 5 years, give or take, I was a PC gamer, and I was used to getting 60 FPS. So eventually when my PC got outdated, you know, I had so much heartache, just, you know, things were breaking, this and that. I was like, feck this, I'm just buying a console. I got a PlayStation 4 for Christmas. And going back to 30 FPS was really jarring. Now, I did put up with it, obviously, because I stuck with it. And then the PlayStation 5 came out. And I can't think of any game, except for Watch Dogs Legions, which does have a 60 FPS patch now, but it didn't when I played it. I can't think of any game that I played in 30 FPS over the past year. And that is one change that cannot be understated. I listened to a podcast called Sacred Symbols, I'm sure many of you heard of it. And Colin Moriarty said, oh, well, I don't really understand, you know, 30 FPS is fine for me. But even he said that the PlayStation 5 made him a believer in 60 FPS. 60 FPS is king in every single game, performance over fidelity, and I just love it. And leading on from that, we have great loading times. Games literally load in a flash, like fast travel on Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, any open world game, fast travel is just so quick. And when playing games like, say, Super Monkey Ball or Demon Turf, 2 games I've reviewed, where you're constantly dying and falling off platforms, the really quick load times back to the start just make the experience so much smoother. And speaking of smooth, obviously I've been playing a bit of COD Vanguard. My brother moved away, I robbed his monitor, he has a 144Hz monitor. So I can now play COD in 120Hz multiplayer, and it's just smooth as butter. It's fecking amazing. I absolutely love it. When I was streaming COD, I went back to 60 FPS because my capture card doesn't support 120Hz pass-through. And the difference between 60 and 120, it isn't as big a jump between 30 and 60, but it definitely is noticeable, and I was playing worse. Obviously, I'm going to come up with the excuse of why I'm bad, but it does make a big difference. Now, finally, do I think the PlayStation 5 is worth it? The answer to that question is yes, wholeheartedly. 500 quid for this is an absolute bargain. Obviously, it's a lot of money, but it is really worth it. The only caveat is, if you're okay with 30 FPS, and none of the exclusives right now, like Returnal or Ratchet, really entice you, then there isn't really much of a reason to upgrade, because obviously, loads of games are coming out on last gen. But obviously, if you're a hardcore gamer and want the next best thing, and you want to play in all the highest frame rates and highest graphics and all that, then the PlayStation 5 is just, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, as console generations come out, buying a new one is a no-brainer. Like in a year or two when games are only coming to PlayStation 5 and maybe only a few games like Call of Duty or something are coming to PlayStation 4, then it's worth an upgrade. Hopefully there'll be a price drop by then and they'll be a bit easier to get. Maybe the PlayStation 5 Pro will be out by then too. So for people like me, I'll still be able to get those really high frame rates, even if it costs me money. It is just worth it for me personally. So there's my little chat about the PlayStation 5. I would love to know what you think about the PlayStation 5, if you've got one, if you've managed to get your hand on one, because not many people are as lucky as I am. Even though there's like 13 million of them out there and it's like one of the best selling consoles ever in its first year, it's absolutely amazing. I would love to see what it would have done if there wasn't such a shortage, but unfortunately there is. I really hope that if you're looking forward, you'll be able to get one this Christmas. But anyway, that was me talking about the PlayStation 5. Let me know what you think of the PlayStation 5 down below. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord down below. I really want to grow this audience because I love just interacting with people. That's obviously the best part of this. So I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.